Hello students, this is Mrs. Miller, and the purpose of this video is to provide direct instruction for you on our lessons on figurative language. Now you should have already received a packet that contained a poem and the definition of each of the types of figurative language that we're going to be studying. You should have one for similes, metaphors, hyperbole, personification, idioms, alliteration, allusion, and onomatopoeia. Okay, I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm just going to provide some instruction for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut this out and you're going to glue it to one page in your interactive notebook. You're also going to cut this out and you're going to glue it in, but you're going to leave the top open because we're going to be adding some things to it. So your final product is going to look something like this. Okay, you'll have the poem and you'll have it glued in, and you'll also have the definition page right here, and you're going to leave a space at the top because for the later activity we're going to be inputting some examples of similes. Okay, let's go back to this. So that's what you're going to do. Now after you glue this into your notebook, you're going to want to highlight the example of the similes. Okay, I've already done that in the video so that you could see. Here is a simile right here, and here is another simile. So you'll highlight that, and then you're going to need to write the meaning of the simile. What is the simile trying to convey? Here's the example, again, the finished product. You can see that the simile is underlined, and then there's this is an explanation of what the simile means. Okay, so let me do this first one with you. The name of the poem is Mean, and it says, "You, with your words like knives and swords and weapons that you use against me, you have knocked me off my feet again, got me feeling like I'm nothing. You, with your voice like nails on a chalkboard, calling me out when I'm wounded. You, picking on the weaker man." This is the song Mean by Taylor Swift. So, in this simile right here, the words are being compared to knives and swords and weapons. And remember, a simile is a comparison of two unlike things using the words like or as in the comparison. And so she's comparing his words to knives and swords and weapons. And so I know that his words must hurt her on the inside as much as weapons hurt people on the outside. So I'm going to add a note, and I'm going to write the meaning of the simile right there. His words hurt her on the inside as much as these weapons hurt on the outside. And I'm also going to add another note as to what's being compared. The words are being compared to knives, swords, and weapons. So when I check your notebook, my friends, I would like to see that you've included this note as well. If you want to do it on a post-it, that's fine, or just like with our finished product, you could just write it right there on the side of your notebook. Okay? Let's take a look at the other part of the poem. It says, "You with your voice like nails on a chalkboard." So I know, let me go back, I'm going to pull up a note again. I know that his voice is being compared to nails on a chalkboard. So hearing his voice makes her want to flinch and recoil, just like when you hear the nails on a chalkboard. So let's write that. Hearing his voice makes her want to flinch and recoil like nails on a chalkboard do. And the two things being compared, his voice is being compared to nails on a chalkboard. Okay, so you will put that in your notebook. And don't forget, you're also going to cut out the definition of simile. A simile is a comparison of two unlike things using the words like or as. Here's an example. As the girl was humiliated, her cheeks turned as red as an apple. The color of her cheeks is being compared to the color of an apple, and those are two things that are not alike. Now, just because something has the word like in it does not mean that it is a simile also. There could be a comparison, but if the things are not unlike each other, then it's not a simile. So here's a non-example. This is not an example of a simile. The girl is as tall as her brothers. The girl and her brothers are not unlike things. They're both people. So they both describe people. So that is not a simile right there. Even though it uses the word as in the comparison, since they're not alike, it's not a simile. So here's a couple of tips for you. The two things being compared must be completely different. Not every sentence that contains like or as is a simile, so keep that in mind.